Hello and welcome to my Story Spark channel. Lena heard a knock at the door and felt tempted not to open it. Marcus, her husband of 6 years, should have already been home. It infuriated her that the 20 centimeters of snow that had fallen early in the morning while she was at work in the hospital had not yet been cleared. The clouds dispersed, a northern wind rose, and the temperature plummeted. She would be damned if she was going to clear the driveway herself. Seeing the aforementioned snow, she had called her husband earlier to find out when he would be home but couldn't get through. Well, it was clear, she thought. It was just like him to try to slip away from work. Fool. At the hospital, she had changed into jeans and planned to rest on Sunday after an early morning and a stressful day in various surgical and maternity departments. As an anesthesiologist typically does, since she had been on the staff for only 18 months, she had to work on weekends. She heard the knock again and went to open the door, concerned that Marcus was still not there. She looked through the peephole and saw Jake standing next to an unfamiliar man in uniform. Jake, also known as Jason, was a detective sergeant in the sheriff's office in several counties north of Chicago, where he and Marcus grew up. They were supposed to go ice fishing that weekend with her husband. Jake was the biggest country bumpkin she had ever met. She couldn't believe that he and her husband were best friends, and it always irritated her when they met. Marcus returned to ice fishing only this winter. She knew he had done it in his teenage years, but she couldn't understand why he suddenly wanted to freeze his butt off again. Perhaps it was related to his recent illness, or maybe not. Damn it, Jake. What the hell do you want? I thought my worthless husband was with your sorry ass. Jake was not surprised by such a greeting. They never got along, especially in the last 2 years after she was caught cheating on Marcus. This isn't a social visit, Lena. It's damn cold out here. Can we come in? I've told you, I'm Lena. I don't like it when even Marcus calls me Lena, so no, I'm not allowing you to enter. This should give you an incentive to finish quickly. Jake sighed loudly. Damn you, Lena. But okay. This is Officer Ryan Carter from the State Patrol. He has some official business that he needs to discuss with you. Lena looked up at the giant officer. She was curious about where they always found these huge men to become officers. In his hat, he seemed to be over 2 m tall, though probably just under. Mrs. Thompson, I'm very sorry to inform you that this morning, your husband and his vehicle fell through the ice. The part of the lake where he fell is over 15 m deep, and the ice in that area is considered insufficiently stable to use heavier rescue equipment. The current rescue efforts have been unsuccessful, and with his prolonged exposure, no one believes anyone could still be alive. In a few days, when the weather improves, we will attempt to retrieve the vehicle and his body. Here are some photos from the scene before the rescue teams arrived. The officer had a tablet and scrolled through several photos where she could clearly see Marcus's tent and portable stove standing next to a large hole in the ice, for which Marcus's SUV seemed too heavy to hold. There were also several photos of the diver team working with light equipment that they could use to lift the SUV if they had found it earlier that day. Lena said, he was a foolish creature. He didn't even know how to fish properly. And who will now clear all this damn snow from the driveway? I swear he couldn't even die right. Poor Emily. I bet she wished it was you with him. The officer was shocked to see that this woman was completely indifferent to her husband's death. Jake, however, was not surprised. The second honeymoon, after her mother convinced Marcus to take her back, was short-lived. For years, she had been spiteful towards Jake. I warned Marcus not to go too far out this winter. It wasn't that cold, so it was dangerous to move too far from the shore. But he kept pushing his luck. Lena responded, maybe the headaches from his cancer became too unbearable, and he decided to jump out of his trousers and end it. Surprise showed on Jake's face. You knew about the cancer? Of course, Lena replied. That fool couldn't hide anything from me. He thought he kept it all secret, but when I saw a check for $4,000 at the hospital and found a CT scan of his tiny brain hidden in his office files, I knew. At least I found them in time to get a couple of life insurance policies on his ass. Now, is there anything else you need from me? Jake shook his head, stunned by the woman's audacity. Damn, that's cold even for you, Lena. It's Lena, you fool. The officer tried to regain control of the situation. Ma'am, we will have documents for you to sign tomorrow or the day after. We hope to recover the body soon. I am sorry for your loss. Don't worry about that. Let me know when they fish out his ass, and I'll dictate the name of the funeral home to you to clean him up and roast him. Got it? Fish out his ass, clean, and roast. She looked at them, but they did not smile. Oh, lighten up. He wasn't a saint either. Have you told his mother yet? No, legally, we are obligated to inform you first. Would you like to tell her yourself, or should we do it? We're not on good terms, Lena said. So it's better if you do it. If there's nothing else you need, I have things to do. For example, I need to grieve. Excuse me. Both men stood with their mouths open as she closed the door in front of them. As they turned to leave, they heard through the door, Yahoo goddamn, I told you she's just a frigid. Jake said, Faith has a way of dealing with people like her. Ryan replied, I hope so. Both men headed to the large Ford parked in front of the neighbor's house to return to their district without wasting time. Lena called her lover. Hey, Chris, you know I'm free tonight. If you think you can get your tool up again, tell your wife that the hospital called and they need you back. Dr. Christopher Adams, a surgeon, was always ready for a fling with Lena, even though earlier that day they had already sneaked into an empty office for a quickie. I thought your husband was coming back today. How are you planning to slip away? You'll never believe it. Just now, the state police showed up and thrilled me with the news that this morning, that idiotic creature fell through the ice and drowned. I'm free from him forever. I'll take sick leave tomorrow morning. Let's go celebrate. Your husband just died, and you want to go celebrate? Damn right. You know I couldn't stand him. Are you refusing to have sex with me? Chris was hesitant, but Lena was damn attractive, especially compared to his conservative wife. So he wasn't about to give her a chance to replace him with someone else. If what she just said was true, he would probably be having sex with her much more often in the near future. What time do you want me to pick you up? That's my man. As soon as possible, and plan to spend the night. I'll make it worth your while. He replied, I'll find a way. I'll be at your place in an hour. For both of them, it was a wild night. Lena never allowed Chris to show affection in public because she didn't want to risk her husband or any of Jake's stuff catching them in a compromising situation. But today was different. No more husband, no more secrecy, no more reluctance to grind and dry hump Chris on the dance floor. Remind me again, why did you stay with your husband if you hated him so much? I told you. 3 million. My Catholic and cunning mother felt ashamed before him when he caught me cheating and convinced him that he was too good a person to throw back into the ocean. Then she persuaded him to give me another chance by altering the prenup to make everything look serious. At that moment, I didn't hate him. The original prenup excluded everything I brought into the marriage, like our house and anything I could inherit from my parents. After the divorce, everything would change. If I divorced him for any reason, he would get half of everything. However, if he divorced me, everything would revert to the terms of the old prenup unless he had proof of infidelity, which is why we only had sex in the hospital under very controlled circumstances. Getting caught would be too expensive. If I caught him cheating, it would revert to the terms of the old prenup. So I kept setting him up with temptations, but he never bit. As you know, my parents were surgeons at the Mayo Clinic, and they had about 6 million in assets and pensions when they died in that accident last year. I didn't want him to get even half of that, so I stayed married to him. I don't understand, said Chris. If you cheated on him before, why stay married? I was just so miserable. At 30, I was too young to be a practicing anesthesiologist. I've never failed at anything in my life, so I wanted to prove to myself, my parents, and him that I could be a good wife. Only later did I realize I'm not cut out for monogamy and should have used it as a chance to get out. But my mom talked me into staying married. Stupid, I know, and costly, until today. Yahoo kiss me, baby. After a fun night out in the town, she asked Chris to take her home, where they continued to have sex in the kitchen, the living room, and finally the bedroom. Her excitement at being free from Marcus fueled her to do everything she could to keep Chris hard, time and again. Eventually, his stamina gave out, and she let him sleep with promises of more sex in the morning before he had to leave. Exhausted, they laid down together and fell into a blissful sleep. At 8 in the morning, after morning sex in the shower, it was time for Chris to go home. They were still drying off when they heard the garage door open, and in walked Jake in uniform and her supposedly dead husband, dressed only in towels. Lena and Chris were shocked to see Marcus alive. Jake handed her a large manila envelope and said, "Lena Thompson, this is an official service." "Oh, and by the way," Dr. Marcus said, deliberately mispronouncing his name, "it's probably time for you to head home. I suspect that any minute now, your wife will receive her own envelope with photos and a video of your performance yesterday." Throwing modesty to the wind, Chris grabbed his clothes and bolted out the door, hoping to clarify something before his wife received any compromising information. He didn't know it was already too late. A wide grin froze on Marcus's face as he saw his wife's expression change from stunned to furious. "Oh, hell no, Jake. I'll sue you, the sheriff, and the state patrol if I have to. You and Officer Carter told me he was dead. That gets me off the hook. Who exactly told you he was dead? Do you have any proof? Marcus and I spent the whole weekend watching sports at my place. It was too cold for fishing. Emily wasn't too happy about it, let me tell you. A little secret, Lena, I've never ice fished since I was a kid. I like fishing, but not when it's cold. I'll get the phone records. I'm sure there are records of your calls from nearby cell towers. I'll get the patrol car logs and demand Officer Carter give a sworn statement." "Good luck with that, Lena," said Marcus. "See you in court." They turned to leave, smiling like idiots. Lena nearly screamed, "No, no, no. This won't stand. That was false information. I didn't do anything wrong." Marcus and Jake continued to walk away, laughing. Lena collapsed onto the bed in disbelief that these two idiots outsmarted her. Getting back to Marcus's SUV, which clearly hadn't fallen through the ice, Jake asked, "Don't you want to stay and see her face when she realizes there's no Officer Carter with the state patrol?" She never took a good look at his car and apparently failed to see that his uniform was a very convincing costume. "Nah, I don't need to stick around for that. The cameras inside the house are still running. I'll see and hear everything later. Besides, I need to go thank Ryan for his performance. He must be quite the actor. Plus, Emily had a great idea about faking the CT scan, making Lena think I had cancer. Ryan was happy to do it. Besides, since you covered the deductible for his insurance to help his daughter get eye surgery, he felt indebted to you. That's what inspired Emily to suggest making the payment look like you were getting cancer tests. I just made the payment in advance. Ryan's too good a guy to fuss about it. Didn't you say he passed the exam to become a deputy sheriff?" "Yes, he did. We need to find a spot for him in the next 6 months. Buying a tent that looked exactly like the one that supposedly fell through the ice last year was a stroke of genius. If I didn't know better, I'd swear that was your tent in the photo. It was pretty simple." She wanted to believe it was true, and she did. "Are you going to stay in Chicago or move closer to home?" "I'm thinking closer to home. There are some good spots near St. Louis, just half an hour's drive away. Mom will be happy." Getting a big check from the divorce means I can start my own engineering firm or just hire consultants on the side. Maybe, as a thank you for the help, I'll send you and Emily to Cancun for your anniversary. I'm surprised she's so into beach vacations with her fair skin. You mention Cancun only because you hope she'll put in a good word with her pretty sister, Anna. It's good you're a detective and not Lena. You can see what's coming, and thank God she couldn't. Don't rush talking to Anna. I don't think I'm ready to date anyone just yet, but hopefully, I'll be ready to meet Anna soon. I think you'll be surprised at how ready you are. Besides, the past infidelity, you suspected she was cheating on you again for over a year. I doubt there's much love left in your heart for Lena. True, it's mostly sadness. But that doesn't mean I'm ready for someone else. I don't think it'll be too hard to convince Anna to come to Cancun with me and Emily. You should see Anna in a bikini. If you join us, you'll see her wearing it. The mental image of Anna in a bikini seemed quite appealing to Marcus. Wouldn't their fair skin get sunburned? Jake laughed. I don't even know why we're so sure you're the smartest. Emily always talks about me giving her massages while we sip margaritas under some impressive gazebo, listening to the waves. Plus, if she wants to sunbathe, I'll be there to ensure the sunscreen is applied thoroughly and often. If Anna is with us, it would be much better for you to do that job, not me or anyone else. Marcus smiled, thinking about how tempting the two red-haired sisters were. The trip was starting to look interesting. Lena hired a lawyer and a private detective to try to document that she was intentionally deceived by the officers, giving her a chance to break free. But Jake, Marcus, and Ryan had covered their tracks too well. Their phones were checked, and all had alibis for the time they were supposedly visiting Lena. She couldn't find a single witness who saw them at her house. Given the cold on that Sunday, everyone was trying to stay indoors. In the end, she was forced to hand over more than half of her assets, including her inheritance from her parents, to Marcus. She pondered whether to use the remaining part to pursue him but decided it wasn't worth it. Dr. Chris's wife was less understanding. She immediately kicked him out of the house and informed her father, a member of the hospital's board of directors. Lena and Chris were suddenly fired and had to leave town to find work. As for Marcus and Jake, Cancun was fabulous, and they truly enjoyed Emily and Anna regularly receiving massages and, when necessary, being protected by ample amounts of carefully applied sunscreen. They even managed to spend a day deep-sea fishing. What they caught that day was amusing, but the best catch was watching Emily and Anna sunbathe topless on the spacious deck of the boat. Now, that was the best kind of fishing. Thank you for listening until the end. See you in the next episode of Deceptive Games. Take care of yourself and your loved ones. Goodbye.